My name's Janene Travers. I provide the voiceover in a scene in A Sister's Gift, where some much-needed payback is given for the cyclic tradition of ignorance and superstition against another's personal practices. I play bass in a rock band. I've been practicing Wicca since I was about 15. I read tarot cards. I work at a water testing facility. I like to think of myself as a water protector. Brad and I go way back. I would say, I don't know, a little while back, a few months. I was talking to him about doing voiceovers, and he came up with this. He came to me with this project. He thought, I don't know anybody else who would ask about this. So he called me up. He said, hey, we got this project. We want you to do some spell crafting. I said, oh, that's up my alley. I'd love to do that. Called me up. We came down to the studio and started working out some parts and stuff. It was really interesting, to say the least. We got into some whispering, which that was kind of, I think I was starting to get a little hypnotized with the whispering, I've always been into nature. I'm a naturalist of sorts. Wicca goes hand in hand, I think, with nature. We are extremely conscious of what kind of signs can be found in nature. A leaf could blow a certain direction. Depending on what kind of leaf it is, might mean a certain thing. Might have some implication into my day. Different animals might cross my path, fly by my car. These are types of things that I notice. I think that's what drew me into Wicca to begin with, was the nature spirits. Candles are always a major part of spell work, and I think they can be the focal point of a spell. Take the orbs, for instance. They are a concentration of energy, whereas a candle is also a concentration of energy. Could be converting an energy from one form into another, or it could be taking energy and dispelling it. These are other ways of transferring energy with spellcraft. Sort of a binding, like, here, you know what? You can go away now. You can not only not harm me, but be away from me forever. So, in other words, it's a protection, but it's also a binding, and I wanted to emphasize that fact. And that was, again, as the story unfolded, that became evident that we needed to not only protect, but really make it a strong, solid one. Calling on Cernunnos and Diana, I think, was helpful in that respect. These are traditional Wiccan gods.
I told you, never come back!
Southwest winds arrive. By the power of Cernunnos, I banish thee. Fear and darkness find you. Away from here I bind you. Be gone away by the power of Ishtar, Diana, Cernunnos.
The process was very intriguing because, we again kind of said, I'm going to say a few things and see how it works out. And it's like, oh, that would lead me to another, hey, wait a minute, I could include this, You want to include a rhyme, too. I think somehow, when Brad, the sound designer, was throwing some ideas at me, it sort of instigated a rhyme, which in spellcrafting also is very, it can be attractive to elementals, other spirits that you don't see. It could also, I was thinking of it as, too, when you hear a song, and if it's If it's got a rhyme, it tends to stick in your head more. It's going to kind of carve into your brain a little bit. And it's the idea with the rhyme in this. It's going to carve into the ethos a little bit. It was introduced to me as a protection spell. And as I watched the story unfold, she's going to need to make sure that it's a particular evil that she's trying to protect herself from. She wants to make sure that when he's gone from her life, that he can't hurt anybody else. He's going to be essentially tormented. He's to be fearful for the rest of his life. That was her intent. Her intent is to get away from my sister, leave us, don't come back. Not only don't come back, think about what you've done. And be afraid for yourself, because karma will get you. It seems to me that it was an outcropping of the spell. She's a young witch, you know. She's obviously been practicing since she was a small child. But she could also bring some elements into this that maybe she didn't intend to have happen. Where she wants to protect her sister, she wants to keep herself safe, she wants to keep her sister safe, and she wants to punish this old man for his ignorance, for his transgressions. That, I think, came through her anger. Abigail has a laboratory. It's a laboratory, and you don't know if she's got intent behind this or if she's just kind of dabbling, but that's what I think of. That's how I relate. I can relate to that. My altar is my laboratory at home. I can relate to the persecution. I mean, that's a big one, of her father against Wiccans and witches, I should say. That's something that unfortunately you still have because of a lack of understanding of the whole process, I think. People typically, I think people don't understand how we see into other dimensions and believe that there's other energies that are around us that we can harness. I think that's the biggest thing gets in the way of understanding many religions, but in particular the Wiccan religion, because we're looking to use everyday items to maybe influence, again, how our day might come out or how a particular event might work out or play out. The idea of Elizabeth going through the forest in the dark is, of course, the age-old journey into one's own inner darkness. And I love how that's there, and how Abigail left the orbs for her so that she might find her way through the darkness, because she's been through it herself, Abigail. That was great. I love how that tied together, you know. It's just that subconscious journey that everybody goes through, especially when you're, you know, coming of age, as Elizabeth seems to be, you know, and the older sister just kind of leaving the breadcrumbs for her so she can, you know, find her way through the darkness.